Following the success of Super Mario Bros., it was obvious that Nintendo would want more money. So they made Super Mario Bros. 2, now known as Lost Levels, in Japan in 1986. There's one problem though. The game sucked. Then America saw the aftermath of this chaos in Japan and was like, huh. And decided not to grace us Americans with this beautiful game. Instead, it took this Japanese game, Doki Doki Panic, and... Okay, let's just, there we go, and, perfect. Ha, take that, Jesus. I can perform miracles, too. Marioized it. And thus a new game is born, Super Mario Bros. 2. The other one. Hello everyone, Bucktooth here, and previously I decided to dive into Super Mario Bros. 1 of the Lost Levels. I had a pretty good time with them, and if you like them, you check them out. Anyway, you're probably wondering what this new and improved sequel is all about. Well, it's interesting, because it's basically just Doki Doki Panic without the Mario reskin. And it wasn't intended to be a Mario game, so it doesn't have any of the characters from the previous games, besides one's playable. It also changed a lot of the main formula of the previous ones, so let's take a look. One evening, Mario had a strange dream. He dreamt of a long staircase leading to a door. After going inside, he was greeted by the world of Subcon, the land of dreams. The citizens were cursed by the evil ward, and Mario was their only hope. I think Mario may have had a little eggnog before bed, if you know what I mean. After waking up, Mario told Luigi, Toadstool, and Toad about his strange dream. Instead of sending him off to a mental hospital, they decided to go for a picnic for some reason. They entered a cave and found that the world in his dreams was actually real. And yeah, that's about it. I would say it was a little more fleshed out than the first game, but then again, I haven't told you how the game ends. Apparently, Wart stole the Dream Machine and created monsters or something? I don't really know. I guess people now have bad dreams, which is terrible for some reason? I mean, come on, what's the point of giving people bad dreams? I'm confused. Yeah. Anyway, after spending hours upon hours on this masterpiece and defeat Ward, you release 8 fairies from a pot. 8? 8? I only saved 8 freaking fairies? Are you kidding me? What's the point? Actually, just kidding. It's 16. At least by saving Peach, you restored peace to the kingdom. Anyway, then they drag Worf off the screen and, execute him? Oh, wow. Okay, take a good look, kids, because Nintendo ain't doing that again these days. Don't worry, though, by the end of the game, you'll be glad he's dead. Believe me. After you and everyone else are congratulated by the entirety of Subcon, it turns out that it was all a dream. Honestly, I feel like it wasn't too surprising since Subcon is literally called the Land of Dreams, but still, come on! Although you'll be very satisfied when you finally beat the game, it really makes your journey seem entirely pointless, although I know why they did it, but more on that later. After that's over with, it shows the game's credits. Yeah, you heard that right. The game doesn't just end anymore, for it shows all the game's characters one more time, which is something I love about all games. In case you're wondering, I'm guessing that the developers are too embarrassed to say that they were involved with this to put their names in, so they blamed on the poor Shy Guys. The entire plot is Nintendo's way of trying to make it clear that this isn't canon, so they really didn't try that hard. However, I do find it hilarious that they execute Ward, plus his eyes bleed in the All-Star version, so I'm giving you 100%. Since this isn't a true Mario game, you can bet that it isn't like Mario 1 at all. Heck, it only sold 10 million units compared to the 1's 40. It's still a side-scroller, but when it comes to platforming, I'd honestly say that it's an improvement. Remember the Wall of Doom? You know, the screen to the far left. That once you go back far enough to the right, it deletes everything over there and prevents you from going back. In this game, it's gone. This makes the levels much more enjoyable, since you can go back and grab something that you missed out earlier. Also, you aren't just going left to right, because they're now vertical sub-areas. This brings so much variety to the game. Each level feels new with it. There isn't even a time limit, so you can do this for as long as you like. There were only 7 worlds this time compared to the 8 before, plus instead of 4 levels in them, there's 3. So, 1 at 32 levels, and this game only has 20? This is kind of a disappointment, but don't worry because you're better off this way. You go into World 7, the final one, and see it only has 2 levels, and I think it's a breeze, and then start crying 4 minutes later. Each level can have multiple areas, some even having around 5. So there's less levels, but they're much longer. Just like the first one, there are several level themes, but surprisingly underwater was cut. I don't know why, but I guess it just didn't fit well with the rest of the game. Anyway, unlike the first game, where the theme of each level in each world was kind of random, each world has its own theme. That being said, I may or may not have even noticed this until reading the wiki to write the script. World 1 is a grassland with standard enemies and platforming. World 2 is a desert with sand areas, desert enemies, and a draw maze. World 3 is waterfalls and caves. World 4 is snowy and has icy platforms. World 5 takes place during night and is obviously much darker than normal. World 6 is a desert, and the final one, World 7, is in the sky with clouds and Ward's castle. Also, instead of only playing as Mario, there are actually 4 playable characters: Mario, Luigi, Toadstool, aka Peach, and Toad. Mario is a very average player, and has 4 to 5 stars in all subjects. Luigi is able to jump higher and farther, but is slightly weaker and slower. Toad is the fastest runner and the strongest, but his jump sucks. And Toadstool is weakest all around, but has a float jump that allows her to float in the air and fall with style. Some levels are probably built around specific characters, but since I'm boring, I play as my boy Luigi throughout the entire game. I never recommend this though, because when you play as someone for so long, it's brutal trying to adjust to someone else. Luigi isn't a fair character, but his jump is much better than compared to everyone else's, so I'll just play as him, since everyone else's jumps are so low and fast you can't steer it. Although, Peach's flow does make up for it. It really just is what your preference is. On top of all these changes, any Mario fan will notice that the enemies in this game won't die if you jump on them. Instead, you have to either stand on them, pick them up, and throw them at another enemy over a cliff, or yank some grass out of the ground and throw vegetables at them. Actually, if it's lined up correctly, the veggie can take out an enemy, and then bounce off and take out more in the process. I don't know how or why this is able to kill them, but okay. Okay, well, I don't know how this is gonna work, but whatever. Got him. Die, you little demon. There are also bombs which explode after a little while, and you can pick them up and destroy walls and enemies. You can either drop or throw them. I like to just drop them because they can bounce off walls if thrown. You can find other items in the grass, which I'll get to later on, but you can also yank out a rocket? Okay, I was not expecting that. These take another part of the level, although they rarely show up. As I was saying, each level has multiple areas, and it all ends with a mini-boss. After defeating it, you'll collect some sort of crystal ball, which allows you to access the next level by... Oh. I was eaten by a bird. Okay. The last level of each world, just like the first game, is somewhat of a castle, although there isn't any lava here. These levels are pretty challenging, and they're both really cool and painfully brutal. The reason I'm saying this is I usually have to climb some sort of tower where you'll find a key, whose door is down below. So you'll have to do everything over again, but being chased by a demon, but more on him later. After that, you'll find the world bosses. Oh yeah, bosses. Unlike Super Mario Bros. 1, there are several unique bosses here. After you beat the game, there's sadly no post-game content, although the first game's hard mode wasn't too different anyway, so it doesn't matter. Although these are sometimes unfair, the levels are pretty cool, and a nice mix of horizontal and vertical platforming. There's a few levels where you have to dig through sand to reach an X area, and another one where you run on whales? This comes out of nowhere, and I remember laughing hysterically when I first saw this, but it all ended when I realized that the water sprouts can actually hurt you, because... water pollution, maybe? I don't know. There are new kinds of mechanics as well, like slippery ice, quicksand, and conveyor belts. Here you have to ride a flying egg to another area, here to ride birds, and here you have to ride a shy over spikes. My point is that each level feels new and unique, but sadly they are all extremely challenging. There are ways to get extra lives and more health, but we'll get to that later in a bit. As I said, since the game is much different than the first, his controls will be as well. You still move around with the D-pad and jump with A, but now there's a new move, the power squat jump. All I need to do is hold down, and your character will flash. If you hit A, you'll go much harder than before. You can still run by holding B, but since fire flowers aren't here, you'll need something else to do with that button. So, you can now yank and carry blocks by simply pressing it. A word of advice, hold B when you grab it, so that way you can actually run while carrying items. Believe me, this is something that's pretty important for your survival, so obviously I didn't find out until halfway through my playthrough. To drop bombs and throw items short distances, simply press B, and to throw them a distance, press B while holding that direction. The crouch and go down pots, hold down, and climbing vines and going indoors is up. I can't say that they are really expanded upon the first game control-wise, but they're a little weird. Since there are 4 characters, each with their own advantages, the only disadvantage is to balance things out. The controls are pretty responsive, but as I said, they just feel weird playing as some characters. Mario, for example, is supposed to be the most average, but his jumps are so quick that I can't really even direct where I'll land. It makes it so that some characters just don't seem playable. Maybe it's just me, but it just seems strange at times. A Mario game wouldn't be a Mario game without enemies to screw you over, but this game doesn't bring back any from the first game, since, well, you know why. You'll probably recognize a lot of these characters from later spin-offs, since Nintendo was just kind of running out of ideas for their characters, and we're like, oh yeah, they exist. The Goombas of this game are the Shy Guys, who are these old mask-wearing fellas. Don't ask why they're wearing those. They walk back and forth, and they're in pretty much every level, and they can be picked up and thrown just like the majority here. Similar to the Koopa Troopas, they come in 2 types. The red ones see a cliff and are like, yes! And the pink ones are smarter and decide that they have a bright future of walking back and forth ahead of them. So why end it now? Daniel states that they are part of the 8-bit, which I'm guessing is some sort of cult for evil dreams. It also says that the Shy Guys are a mask because they're shy. A+ writing! They aren't too hard, plus they can double as a weapon. There's another type of Shy Guy called Sniffets. These guys shoot bolts of evil dream out of their mouth. Whoever wrote these bodies needs to get a raise. Reds and pinks act the same as their counterparts, but there's also a third type. The gray guys jump before shooting, so look out. These guys can get you if you aren't careful, but as long as you time them well, you'll be fine. Next is the game's version of Para Shy Guys. Bezos once again come in 2 colors. The red ones will dive at you from above, while the pinks will fly straight. Once again, not too hard, but there is one level, 4-2, which is basically a Bezo death trap where you'll have to jump perfectly to avoid them. Then there's Tweeter, a bird that hops around and wears a mask. Why does everything wear a mask in this game? It's more disturbing and cute. Are they on the run from the Toad Police or something? Anyway, Tweeters are very similar to Shy Guys. Think Green Koopa Paratroopers in the first one. Also, I'm not believing that these things are actually birds. Next up are the Ninja, who in my opinion look very similar to Gengar from Pokemon. The man says that he's a little devil that appears in the dreams of NES players. No, I'm not joking, they actually said that.
I think a road may have had one too many glasses of eggnog.
There's 2 types, but since they didn't bother making them look different, it's just Ninja 1 and Ninja 2. One charges and jumps at you, while the other one just stays in one spot and jumps. I'm not sure what he's trying to do, but I'm sure that one day he'll do it. Ones are kind of tough and if there's a low ceiling, and 2s can actually let you reach places that are too high for your standard jump. Hoopsters are creatures that resemble a ladybug and move up and down vines. The Magnus Scissors have a basketball, meaning that small Mario is like a foot tall, and normal Mario is like 2 feet. I really wonder if Nintendo just kind of gave some random person some paper and told him to write bodies for these guys, because this writer clearly has no idea what he's talking about. Like most so far, he ain't that hard, although there is one level that's centered around him, which if you cheat, is still pretty easy. Now you're the scariest enemy by far, Phanto. Whenever you hold a key, he'll come flying out of nowhere and try to swoop into you. He gave me tons of problems early on, but I found out that the trick is to just run, and when you see him come, throw it so he goes away. It takes some trying, but hey, at least you probably won't get hit. If you don't do this, he's fast, and good luck dodging him. Trouter is the game's version of Cheep Cheeps, but he does act differently. He's a fish that jumps up and down waterfalls, and there's no underwater levels here. They're pretty cool since they act like a fast-moving platform to jump off of. Plus, you'll probably only need to jump off one and you'll live. I do feel pretty bad killing them since they didn't do anything wrong, and the manual says that this is their home. Up next is Sonic! Which I'm surprised that Nintendo actually had the guts to change their color to blue, when it looks just like their biggest rival. Porcupine are literally just spinies. They have spiky backs, so don't jump with them. It's been a little while, but I honestly only remember seeing these guys in like 2 levels. Next is someone else you probably recognize. and you probably had no idea that they even come from this game. But bombs have been in Super Mario Bros. 2, but he's a little different. Here he walks around and explodes, but these days he won't blow up unless you hit him. He acts like a bomb, and is your only way to access some areas. Physically, he doesn't have his signature wind-up key, and he also has arms for some reason. Sometimes he'll be got by Albatross, a bird who likes to fly around and nuke people. You can also find him alone, and there's one really cool level where you have to ride around on him. The manual says that they were once just a resident in the world of dreams, but now he does it by order of Wart, which basically means that they were forced to do this. This lore is entirely stupid, but surprisingly thought out. Pidgeot brings evil dream. Okay, I'm done trying to understand this game. This bird flies around on a carpet and will swoop down on you. Like Lakitu, if you defeat him, you get to fly around, but not for long, which can easily kill you. Cobrat is a snake who lives in a jar by the deserts. Like Sniffets, he can shoot at you, and these guys gave me a lot of problems when I played. You'd be better off just doing your best to avoid them, which isn't easy. Apparently under Wart's command, they often appear in the dreams of Toad? Seriously, I am not making this stuff up. This has no purpose in the game itself. Anyway, Panzer is a plant created by Wart that shoots fire, kinda like the Piranha plant. The red ones are stationary and the pink ones will chase you, and believe me, they're dangerous. If you can, kill them the moment you see them, because they ain't easy to avoid. Then there's Oster, an ostrich ridden by a Shy Guy. They're pretty fast, so once again, try to either quickly take him out or run. Next we have another character who will come back in numerous games, and pretty much a regular in the series now. Pokey is a hefty cactus that walks around desert stages. Just like cacti in like every other game, touching him hurts you, but if you stand on his head you're fine. I don't get the logic behind that, but it allows you to remove their body segments, which is just weird. He's also green in this game compared to the orange in later games. Autobomb is kind of like a tank for Shy Guys? Yeah, this game gets weird. I think you only hit like 2 levels, and you can pretty easily just jump over them. If you take out the Shy Guy riding it, you can hop on yourself. Flurry is a snow monster that chases you on ice skates, even though he isn't depicted wearing any in the art and game itself. They're basically just fast and snowy Shy Guys. Our final main enemy is Spark, who's one of the toughest. There's some sort of electric ball that can either move fast or slow around walls, floors, and objects. The fast ones are pretty dangerous, so you'll need to time it before almost perfectly in some areas, like on the final level. At the end of most levels 1 and 2 of each world, you have to fight the game's mini-boss, Birdo. She's some sort of dinosaur, kind of like an early Yoshi, that shoots eggs out of his mouth. So she's able to create babies in a snap, and then will sacrifice them to try to kill you. I was gonna write a joke about this, but I don't want YouTube to take this video down, so I'll stop. There are 3 kinds of them: pink, red, and the green and gray ones, but they do the same things, so they're the same type. The pink ones are the easiest. They shoot eggs, which you'll have to jump on and throw at them, and will be taken out in 3 hits. The red ones do the same, but they'll also randomly shoot fireballs that hurt you. The green and gray ones only shoot fireballs, so you have to pick up and throw the mushroom blocks in the arena. Once you figure out the pattern, they ain't that hard, and you're probably safe for riding the green one's head until they finally stop shooting, and then hit. The first true boss you find is Mauser, appearing at the ends of World 1 and 3. He's apparently the bomber of bad dreams, and destroys good dreams, while being proud and believing that he's not just a mouse. As his description says, he'll throw bombs at you, but you can pick them up and throw back at him. He's probably the easiest boss as long as you don't let the bombs pile up so that you can't go anywhere. Next is Triclyde, a 3-headed snake at the end of World 2 and 6. Apparently he impressed Wart with his cunning brain and offensive capabilities. He'll shoot a series of fireballs at you, which are fairly hard to dodge, and you need to throw the mushroom blocks there at him 3 times to take him out. My advice would be to pick one up, run to the far left from the fire, and then charge in and fire at him. Then there's Fry Guy, a giant ball of fire that Wart gave life to, appearing at the end of World 4. He spits fireballs at you when he's mad, and also fly all around the room. Besides the final one, he's probably the hardest boss in the game and gave me some problems. He's pretty fast, so I would just stay on the top platform and quickly jump whenever he flies by. After he's hit by Mushroom Block 3 times, he splits into 4 smaller versions, which you'll have to drop the blocks on. This fight isn't too hard if you know what you're doing, but you'll need to time everything well. Claw Grip, the boss in World 5, is a large crab who will throw rocks at you, which is probably the most violent attack of the bosses. They are really fast and kind of have a mind of their own. Sometimes while rolling they can change direction? I don't know the logic behind it, but okay. As long as you're patient, you can deal with it. Just make sure to only grab the low rocks, because some are out of reach and you'll end up just getting hurt by them. You'll need to pick him up and hit him 5 times to win. Remember how you go inside a bird's mouth to end the levels? Well, in the final one, it turns out that there's actually one evil mask gate, which is a mini-boss before Ward. You'll fly around the room, and you'll need to grab the mushroom blocks and hit him 3 times. It really isn't that hard, just watch out for his large and unfair hitbox. After defeated, he'll take you to the final destination. This is by far the hardest boss of the game, and it's only around 20 tries to win. He's apparently the most mischievous in the world of dreams, and he created these monsters by playing with a dream machine. He shoots a series of bubbles from his mouth, and they harm you? So basically he has deadly burps. There's a machine here, which I'm assuming is a dream machine, and it shoots vegetables out. If you pick one up, there's a tiny gap from when he opens his mouth and burps, meaning that you can throw it at him. So, either choking him to death, or the vegetables are harming you. You hear that, kids? Veggies kill you! Once again, I get I'm trying to understand the logic behind this game. The bubbles are fast, however, and his mouth isn't open for that long, so like almost every other fight, it'll probably take you a couple tries until you can finally beat him. And that's all the enemies here, and that was a lot. Like 3 whole pages of script a lot. This game greatly expanded on this subject, and almost all of them do something unique. As I said, this game doesn't exactly feature power-ups like the first one, but there are a good amount of collectibles and items to gather, although they aren't exactly as common if you aren't familiar with the game. Once are back, and just like before, they give you an extra life. I'm sure that there are more of them in hard-to-reach places, but in my playthrough, I only found about 2, no joke. Just like the last game, you'll need to figure out where each one of them is if you plan on winning. Mushrooms also return, but not exactly in the same form. See, in the first game you start out small, and getting a mushroom makes you taller and has an extra hit. Here you start off tall, and will shrink if you're hit. So you technically have a mushroom at the start of each level, but you can collect additional ones as well, meaning you can have around several hits on you at once. The levels are very challenging, so this is a must if you want to beat them. They can be found inside the subspace, but more on that in a minute. Just like mushrooms, coins make a return as well, but instead of being literally everywhere you look, they're exclusive to subspace as well. There's a replacement for turnips, so be sure to yank them out if you know if there's a shroom in the overworld. Instead of granting you an extra life if you get 100, they'll allow you to gamble for lives? Once again, something that Nintendo probably wouldn't be allowed to do these days. If you match 3 of anything in a row, you'll get a life. 1 cherry, 1 life. 2 cherries, 2 lives, and 3 cherries, 5 lives. This would be your primary way to survive, so I would explain the strategy to it, but there really isn't one unless you have insane reflexes.
I'm a god, that damn slot machine, and even I can't figure this thing out.
Maybe it's just me, but those clouds are spinning way too fast for me to make any sense out of it. If you have enough coins, you're bound to at least get 1 extra life, though. Speaking of mushrooms and coins, you'll need to throw a magic potion that can be found in the ground to unleash the subspace. Wait, this sounds familiar.
Wait, I'm in Smash?
Think of it like an alternate universe, I guess. The pile blocks return from the original arcade Mario Bros, and just like before, a hit from it will kill all the enemies on the screen. You'll find cherries scattered around the levels, kinda like the game's version of coins. If you collect 5 of them, a starlight will rise to the sky, allowing you to collect them. As usual, it grants you invincibility for a short period of time, but at some points you'll probably be safer just running through the level than risking lives for some freaking cherries. For every 8 enemies defeated, a small heart will rise, just like the star. It will replenish a health point, but only if you're missing one. It's great that the game tries a little bit to keep you alive, but sometimes these items will be spawned off-screen, meaning that you can't reach it if it's wasted. You can find a form of weapon in the grass. Why is there a Koopa Troopa shell in here? First off, they and the entire species of Koopa aren't even in this game, and that would mean that it's probably dead. Maybe it's a victim from the first game? They act similar. You throw it and they slide in a direction, but instead of taking out everything it touches, it's only a one-time use, sadly. You know, I can't decide whether I would rather throw a dead turtle shell or throw a turtle shell with one still living inside. I'm probably scaring away my viewers right now. Our final collectible / item is one that I only came across like 3 times in my playthrough, since I had no idea how to get it. If you pull up 5 large vegetables, then a stopwatch will appear. It'll freeze the entire level for a second, which is really cool, but watch out. Just because the enemies can't move, doesn't mean they can't hurt you if you touch them. This game greatly improves on items from the first, and they can bring lots of strategy. The graphics have improved a lot from the first, but not in all places. Some textures look great, where some backgrounds are just plain bright colors, that's it. Also, my eyes are bleeding right now. It's not Super Mario Bros. 1 simple, but not Super Mario Bros. 2 perfection. You can tell that they try with some textures, like how the bombs say bomb and they explode, but just like from the first game, it just isn't that visually appealing. I know that they couldn't help it at some times, but later NES games could look better, so my point is slightly justified. The screen is either too bright or too dark, so it'll hurt your eyes no matter what. Also, I need to point out the inside pod texture. Like, what the heck is this? I didn't know I was playing on an Atari. One of the favorite things about this game, as well as one of those underrated, is the music. Every song is catchy and fits the theme well, and even some fan favorites from the first one return. The main theme is actually a new version of the underwater theme, and the classic Super Mario Bros. Song is used for subspace. Even the star theme returns, this time with bongos? Okay, this is something that I never knew I always wanted. My only wish was that there was an athletic theme, since whenever you're outside the same song plays. Although even then, the tracks don't get repetitive. There's an overworld theme, character select, cave, boss battle, and my favorites, work theme and credits. Every song is great, and you can tell that they put lots of effort in making a unique song for every part of the game. I've been saying some pretty good things about this game, which is not like me, so let's finally unleash the demons inside of me.
This game sucks.
Look, that's an exaggeration, but a lot of my complaints are because of aging. Similar to the first game, the graphics can be both too dark and too bright at the same time, which makes your eyes want to bleed. Also, the game forgets that enemies exist again. Basically, just because there's supposed to be a certain number of enemies in an area, it doesn't mean that they'll show up. If you see it and run off screen, it'll either disappear or the number of them will greatly decrease. It helps you out, but it makes levels inconsistent and hard to memorize. Plus, in some instances, you'll even be forced to fight Birdo twice if another one spawned. Also, if you do it right, you can actually stand in objects. It sounds crazy, but you can. It even allows you to skip huge portions of levels. Really, my main problem is the difficulty, and believe me, this game is hard, probably more than the first. You start off with 3 lives, and if you want more, you better be pretty good at gambling. Once again, there's no savings, so even if you're on the final level, it's back to the start for you. That makes it very annoying, but I'll go more in depth in a minute. My point is, it still holds up pretty good. It has some great ideas, music, and is well designed, but things like the difficulty make the original version brutal to play. My first run was on the Super Mario All-Stars version, which looks beautiful and saves after every world, so it's definitely the definitive version. Oh, impact you say? Well, this game didn't really have that, now did it? Since it wasn't a Mario game, it really didn't act like one, obviously, and future games decided to expand upon 1, not 2. That being said, this game did introduce some characters like Birdo, Shy Guy, Pokey, Bob-omb, and Sivin and Mauser who kind of appeared in the Yoshi series, and the Beyblade Sonic the Hedgehog. Level themes also returned, although I think that was more of a coincidence than a reference. Ninja also comes back in Super Mario World, and in Super Mario Bros. 3D World, Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad are once again playable with the same moves, as well as a gambling game returning. So this game only had a little impact, but the Mario series will be kinda different without it. Birdo and Shy Guy are now regulars and spin-offs, so imagine a world where they don't exist.
Probably a better one.
Nintendo never dared to make a similar game again, and I don't blame them. Imagine them making New Super Mario Bros. 746, where the Yankee and throwing mechanics come back. It would confuse the fans, and make new people think that this is how the series works. That being said, I would love to see a new game like this. My only problems with the game was that it didn't age well, so to try it again, it would be really cool. Unless they put it in Super Mario Maker, however, I doubt it'll come back, sadly. Here comes the final category. Was Super Mario Bros. 2 fun? Yeah? In my opinion, it's a really good game, but as I said, the difficulty kinda takes a lot of that away. If you watch my gameplay videos, you'll know that when I played the All-Stars version, whenever I would start a new world or level, I would have tons of fun and be like, oh, that's cool. But after getting a constant game overs, and all that would just get stripped away. The first game at least had a cheat that allowed you to restart on the world you died on, which is kinda here. It allows you to continue on the world you died, but only twice, so good luck. It sucks because this game had a lot of great features that got ruined by players having to play through the same 20 levels over and over again. That being said, it got a lot easier over lots of practice. I hated sand levels at first, but then I got figured out how to tricks to it. I hated fighting the green birdos, but then I figured out a strat. After a while, you'll figure the game out, but I hope you have lots of time on your hands. The final world took me over 4 hours to do, and I'm not exaggerating. It's one of the hardest Mario levels you'll ever play, but I guess the only good thing about hard games is that the satisfaction of beating it. You know, I'd say that this game might be slightly harder than Lost Levels, no joke. However, warp zones do make a triumphant return, and they're necessary to cutting back to where we left off. In World 1-3, grab a potion and carry it over to the vase outside the castle. Go to subspace, go into vase, and it'll take you to World 4. Or you can go over to World 5 by going to 3-1, jump down the waterfall and land on the platform, take a potion, drop into the vase, and you know the rest. In World 4-2, you can go to World 6 by grabbing a potion, finding a vase, and same thing. Finally, in World 5-3, grab a potion, go left, squat jump, and you'll find the final world. Some levels even have their own mini warp zones, which will usually take you to the mini/regular boss, and save you a few minutes and deaths. So, my point is that the game is very hard, but you can work your way around it by cheating. But it's the same as before. I don't want to cheat, I want actual saving.
And that was Super Mario Bros. 2. It was an interesting experience, and one I'll never forget. For some reason, I now see Ninja in my dreams. I wonder why. Anyway, it's now time to give it the final score. So, gameplay, 10 out of 10. Graphics, 4 out of 5. Controls, 4 out of 5. Music, 5 out of 5. Aging, 2 out of 3. And fun, 3 out of 5. So that would all come down to a 28 out of 30, 85%, 8.5 stars, or simply a B. It's a pretty good game, but it has its problems. Super Mario Bros. 2 is like the black sheep of the Mario series. I guarantee you some people believe that they just get the number and went straight to 3. I mean, every game, until you guys, did something special and had huge fan bases. But since this one's, well, adopted, it gets kicked to the curb while everyone else has their fun. I wasn't hoping to give this game the love it deserves, because I do think it was a great game at the time, but it hasn't aged well and does so much differently that Nintendo probably doesn't want to do anything like it again, sadly. I would highly recommend giving it a try, but only do it with saving, like the All-Stars rating. Thank you all so much for watching these videos. It's a lot of work, I really appreciate it, and I hope you all enjoyed it. But anyway, this is a wild ride. I have one last stop on the Super Mario Bros. Trilogy. That being Super Mario Bros. 3. Hopefully that'll go better, because seriously, I suck at this game. When people see me, they recognize me as the guy who made a fool of himself on the internet. Whenever I go outside, I have to wear this mask to hide my identity. Die, you evil demon.